Hey, I'm Keith with the Schmidt Music Trombone Shop, back with another instrument review. And today I've got an instrument I've been excitedly waiting on for quite a while, specifically the SE Shires Q series bass trombone with axial-flow valves. So this is the TBQ36YA trombone. This is a model that, while it was introduced this past January, this has really been in development for a number of years. Having talked with Shires and their designers, their reps, they've been asking questions. Well, given the popularity of their Q Series line, and specifically the Q Series tenors and the Q Series bass, the rotor valve, the TBQ36R bass, they've said, well, what do you think about an axial flow valve? I gave my 2 cents, and obviously a lot of other folks did, and we ended up with this. So again, if you're not familiar, the Q Series designs are really meant to be, Shires designs, the components are started in Boston at the Shires factory. The Eastman company does the assembly work, and then Shires does all of the finishing as well here. So I'm really excited to play this for you. So take a listen. I'm going to be playing all of this on a Malicious 2G, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. As I've said before, the Shires Q Series instruments have become just a force in the trombone world because of what they offer for the price point they're at. The way I describe all of the Q Series instruments is that these are like entry-level Shires. Not only do they have, obviously, the Shires designs, they have so much of the Shires custom craftsmen involved with it, but at the same time, they're using their top builders, technicians, workmen and women at Eastman to be involved in this process as well. And what I typically find with these instruments is they have a lot of the same, not only physical features, but the playing features and attributes of a custom instrument, of one of the Shires customs. And I think this is really no different here. So the TBQ36YA, so this features their their QBY bell. So this is their B taper bell, what they call their QB bell. It looks to me really to be very much like the Shires standard B taper bass trombone bell. This is in their two-piece bell setup. I'm going to guess, they don't say, I'm going to guess it's probably their standard. It'd be like a 7 bell, which is their modified two-piece shape down. It is a soldered rim with wire here in their lightweight gauge, which of course is the same as really standard gauge from most other makers there. This does have their QY tuning slide. Based off of how the tuning slide feels, though, the custom instruments have both the B and C tuning slides. The B is a little bit tighter, the C is a little bit more open. To me, this feels a little bit more like the C taper. I suspect maybe it's even somewhere in between, but I think it's more of the C taper there. So it's in the yellow brass, of course, and this has the Q62 hand slide. So it's a straight 562 board, a standard for Shires, yellow brass outer tubes, nickel silver crook here, interchangeable lead pipes. And again, one of the really cool things about all of the Q series designs is that all of the components are interchangeable, or at least in theory interchangeable, with all of the custom Shires components as well. So like I mentioned, I was really excited to put hands on this instrument. I really liked how the rotor version of this instrument played. Now admittedly, I am not a full-time bass trombonist, and so oftentimes if I just need to pick up an instrument and just count on it to play, I almost lean a little bit more towards rotors, because it takes me a little bit, sometimes it can take me honestly a week or two to really get my bass trombone armature working again and get the proper airflow to be able to fill up a dual axial flow setup. But with all of that said, the Shires bass trombones, their axial flow models, everything tend to be so responsive. They tend to work for me so well. I always say it's a good sign when I take an instrument that I'm not great on, whether it's tuba or bass trombone. And if I feel like, boy, I could actually do some serious playing with this instrument, it tells me that the instrument is making up for a lot of my shortcomings. And I think this definitely falls into that mix. What I found with it right away is it's so much of the same Shires, you know, core to the sound, the evenness of response. Boy, I tell you, getting up into the 7th and 8th partials, you know, getting up to the B flat above staff, it just sang up there. It was really beautiful. It was really, really nice. But at the same time, I felt like I had, you know, really great access to the lower register. For me, being able to move cleanly in and out of the pedal register is something I struggle with a little bit, and I felt like I really didn't have any issue with this at all. I was able to move cleanly, smoothly. I always like the Shires bass trombone bells in yellow brass. I think my kind of bass trombone setup, I do like a little bit more punch to the sound. I'd like to get a little bit more of that growl, and I love the stability at upper dynamics in the lower register. I felt like this did that really, really well. What I'm really finding with this, spending a little time with it, is the subtle differences between this and the custom are really the same as I have found with all of the other Q series instruments. It's really just in subtleties. There's a little bit of a nuance, just a little difference in the complexity of the timbre. Where, I mean, this had a great full sound. This had, again, had the depth, it had the evenness in the sound of the Shires. There's just a little bit of complexity in the overtones, a little bit of depth of sound that I feel like, of course, the custom instruments do better. I also find with the custom instruments, a lot of times there's just a little bit of a difference in the smoothness, especially the ease of movement between different partials. Sometimes subtleties in articulation are a little bit different. So I think, for a lot of reasons, the custom instruments are absolutely worth every penny. But boy, I've got to tell you, and I felt this way all the way through with the Q series, bang for your buck, these are such fantastic playing instruments. And again, the way I view them, these really are entry-level Shires. If you're somebody who wants to have an instrument that really plays like a Shires, but we're not necessarily looking at that kind of price point, these are a great way to get into that. And again, you can continue to change the components out. You can continue to build the instrument as your needs change. Now, one caveat with this, because these play so much like Shires, what I find sometimes is that they don't actually play as well for everybody. I think there is a certain amount of control that we have to have as a player to really get these instruments to play play. And so if you're somebody who is new to the instrument, is brand new to bass trombone, for example, and you're looking at moving in right away there. Everybody's different, but something like this is going to take some work to grow into. I will put it that way. But if you're somebody who's been playing for a little bit, even a couple of years, and you maybe had a school instrument, or you're a doubler and say, I really want to invest in a higher level instrument, but I'm not necessarily looking at spending the 63, 64, 6500 for a custom instrument. Boy, you'd be really hard pressed to find a better value out there than this. In fact, I dare say you would not be able to find a better value out there. Bang for your buck. So again, really, really exciting instrument here. I'm always really curious to see what Shires is going to be coming up next with their Q series instruments. If you have any experience with the 36, YA, or with the rotor valve models, feel free to leave those comments in there. If you have any questions for me, please leave them in. I or our community of viewers would love to be able to answer those questions for you. If you haven't already done so, feel free to check out some of the other videos on our channel. If you haven't subscribed, think about subscribing to our channel. I'm always trying to create new, fresh content that is hopefully interesting for you. You can hit that notification button so you hear when I put new videos out. And of course, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram as well. So thank you very much for watching.